When will you go through your metal phase? Please, we're desperate. I've been thinking about making a video kind of asking you guys for recommendations and to kind of like guide my metal phase. You know, I listen to the big guys casually, like Metallica, Megadeth, Slipknot, but anything besides that, I have no clue. So keep your eyes peeled for that in the future, and any help would be greatly appreciated. How do you discover new music? Do you purposefully seek it out or just find things sporadically? It's kind of a mix of both. Like, I'll get recommendations from YouTube, friends, you guys in the comments. I'll go through phases of listening to new shit or just like re-listening to the same stuff over and over again. Like last month in December, I just listened to a bunch of Slow Pulp, Radio Department, Van Morrison. A lot of that stuff, you know, obviously isn't new, but it's new to me at least. You have to delete one period of music. What would you pick? Also, are you still gonna make the Tom Morello video? Definitely yes to that. Tom will never escape my clutches. And for deleting a period of music, I'm probably gonna go with like mid to late 90s post-grunge. Grunge to me has always been something that should have just existed in the pocket that it was like popular, you know, like early 90s and stuff like that. And then stuff that tried to replicate it later on or was like, oh, post-grunge, like whatever. That shit is just like boring as hell to me and sounds disgusting. What's your favorite bass player? I mentioned Stuart Zender in the comments of the last video because of Jamiroquai. He was on their first 3 albums, Emergency on Planet Earth, Return of the Space Cowboy, and Traveling Without Moving. I still like a lot of their newer stuff, but those 3 albums in specific, the bass playing on that is amazing. But if I had to choose one off the top of my head right now, it'd probably be like Robert DeLeo from Stone Temple Pilots. His bass lines are so deceptively complicated. It kind of reminds me of like John Paul Jones from Led Zeppelin, where it's like, you know, you don't think of it at first, but then when you listen back to the tracks, you're like, oh wow, that shit was awesome. What do you know about Rolling Down in the Deep? My dumbass read that for a second and I thought you were talking about Rolling in the Deep. Linkin Park did a good cover of that actually, you should check that out, but is that Astronaut in the Ocean? I think so. I don't know, I'm out of touch. Favorite soundtracks, anime, video games, movie, etc. I don't really watch a lot of anime, but for video games, Mario Galaxy 1. Mario Galaxy 1 in specific, I liked Galaxy 2, but the music in that game just pales in comparison to Galaxy 1. That or Earthbound, if you couldn't tell from the background music in all my videos. But then for movies, it's probably like 10 Things I Hate About You, Castle in the Sky, which I guess could kind of no, not Castle in the Sky, Valley of the Winds. That one. I love the soundtrack of that movie, so I guess that could kind of technically count as anime, or French Dispatch. I know a lot of people didn't really like French Dispatch. It's definitely not Wes Anderson's best movie, but the soundtrack in that movie is amazing. Have you listened to, or will you listen to Tally Hall? I've never heard of them before, but if you got any recommendations, please hit me up. I'll get back to you in like 5 to 6 business days. Who would win in a fight, Lemmy or 100 Zeppelin fans? For a while, anytime I pictured a Zeppelin fan, I always just thought of Hyde from That 70s Show, because he has like a whole line about being like, I love 3 things in this world, weed, babes, and Zeppelin, or some crap like that. But now I don't want to think about Danny Masterson, because he's a terrible piece of shit. If Lemmy wasn't dead, probably Lemmy. What's a genre you enjoy that you didn't think you would originally? So for the past couple months, I've been playing in this yacht rock tribute band with a bunch of like middle-aged dudes. And you know, it's not that I never listened to yacht rock before, but I just never really gave it the time of day. But now I've been listening to tons of like Steely Dan, Paul Simon, Billy Joel, Bob Seger, and honestly, it's really, really good. I don't know if all those bands technically count as yacht rock, but I see them under like the same umbrella a lot, so it's kind of yacht rock to me. If I'm wrong, just make fun of me in the comments. What's your favorite metal subgenre? I know you haven't jumped off into that yet, but like first impressions, which one speaks to you the most? Honestly, like funk metal for me. So when I was getting into bass, I was super into like fast, aggressive slap bass and stuff like that. So like early mid 90s Chili Peppers, Fishbone, Jane's Addiction, stuff like that. I just love fast, hard, groovy shit. And even though I'm not like a crazy slap basser anymore, that type of music still speaks to me in one way, shape, or form. Favorite video from this year from either a writing, editing, or production standpoint? I love all the pre-made responses that YouTube gives you. Like, those don't even answer your question. One of my favorites was probably like the 2 types of title tracks. I just thought that was such a fun, weird type of concept, and I'm glad it came out the way it did. I'm very proud of that video. I'm also proud of ones that I put a lot of research into, like the Plantasia video, or the Mumford & Sons video, especially that one, just because I love the direction it went in towards the end. I was wanting wanting to make fun of Winston Marshall for a long time, but didn't really know how to go about doing it. So I'm glad I finally got the chance to do it in that one. You mentioned before that the Chili Peppers are your favorite band, so how would you rank their big 4 albums? Alright, from top to bottom, Stadium Arcadium, by the way, Californication, Blood Sugar. I know it's kind of weird putting Blood Sugar all the way at the bottom, since like people are like, oh, this is the definitive like funky, hard Chili Peppers shit. But for me, after Under the Bridge, it just kind of meanders until it gets to Sir Psycho Sexy. Californication is great, I love it, it was my introduction to the band, but listening to it now, the mixing is just so loud it hurts my ears after like 20 minutes. By the way, I love By the Way, but the whole point of that album was that each song is supposed to sound different or have kind of like a different stylistic genre choice, whatever. But then by like the second half, you go from shit like Tear, a poppy song, to On Mercury, a ska song, to Minor Thing, a punk song, then to Warm Tape, like this kind of psychedelic song. It just gets a little too inconsistent at the end. Like those songs are still really good, but like playing them back to back, it's like, whoa, you get like tonal whiplash, like genre whiplash from all of them. Stadium Arcadium, I said this before, I think is like John Frusciante's best stylistic album. He has so many cool guitar effects, layering, just cool songwriting and stuff like that. But I'm gonna be that guy and say Mars is better than Jupiter. Like Mars is so slept on, it's not fair. That one has so many good songs. Animal Bar, If, Turn It Again, Death of a Martian. It's just so slept on. I feel a lot of people see it as like the B-sides to Stadium Arcadium. They're more like the more experimental songs on Stadium Arcadium. But fun fact, none of these are even my favorite Chili Peppers album. You're gonna have to wait to see what that is in like a month, or whenever I make that Chili Peppers album, or video, I don't know. Kinda cliche, but any favorite experimental pieces of music? Oh, this is an easy one. Everywhere at the End of Time by The Caretaker. Some of you might know that one, but for anyone who doesn't, it's this crazy 6-hour-long concept album about dementia. It's completely instrumental, but the longer it goes on, the more the songs get fucked up and distorted. By the end, it literally just sounds like scary noise. I want to make a video in the future about like instrumental concept albums, and when I do, I'm definitely talking about that one. What's your favorite Beatles album? Revolver, I guess. I feel like I listen to covers of Beatles songs more than the Beatles themselves. One cover album that I do want to recommend, which I think I've already talked about before, is Rubber Soul Live by the band Soul Live. There's just a bunch of Beatles songs like Taxman, Eleanor Rigby, Help, but then it's covered in this really cool soul, jazzy, fusion trio band. They're so good. Definitely check that out. Would you rather revive Kurt Cobain or Jimi Hendrix? I can't tell if you intentionally misspelt their names or not, but if I had to choose one, probably Hendrix. I would have loved to hear him make a really shitty Keytar album in the 80s. You have 10 years you can live in and experience. What time frame are you choosing? I'm gonna go with 1997 to 2007. The mid-90s seemed kind of boring to me, and then I just love to experience like seeing the Blair Witch Project in theaters for the first time and everyone freaking out being like, oh my god, is it real? That and also the new millennia, because like Y2K fascinates the hell out of me. Favorite album cover? Alright, this is kind of a niche one. Departure Songs by We Lost the Sea. This is another instrumental concept album that I want to talk about in the future. I love this cover so much, I have a tattoo of it on my arm. Do you like Balkan folk music? Again, send me some shit and I'll check it out. Opinion on Green Day. I'm not too big into American Idiot or 21st Century Breakdown. That stuff's just like a little too poppy for me. I'm way more into their older stuff. Like my favorite album by them is probably Insomniac. That thing is so raw and mean. I love it. If we're talking about like 90s punk though, I was always more of an Offspring kiddo growing up. What band/artist has been your favorite to see in concert? Also, have you heard of Return to Dust? No, I haven't heard of them, but I'll definitely check them out after this. Favorite band I've seen live is probably Psychedelic Porn Crumpets. I've seen those guys twice. Once in 2019 and once in 2024. Actually, funny story about the second time. So, right before then, I broke my thumb while snowboarding, and the day that me and my friends saw them was also the same day I got my hard cast taken off and got it all fixed up and ready to go. But then, like, right after I got it off, we went to the city and saw them. So, sadly, no moshing or crowd surfing for me, but it was still a really fun show. Do you listen to Soundgarden? Oh yeah, for sure. But it was kind of funny, for the longest time, out of the 4 big grunge bands from the 90s, you know, Pearl Jam, Nirvana, Alice in Chains, and them, they were always the one I listened to the least. But now that I'm more into like odd time signatures and weird song structures, I definitely want to give them more of a chance. Admittedly, for a while, when I would listen to Super Unknown, I would get kind of burnt out by the time I got to Limo Wreck or 4th of July. But I gotta change that, so yeah. What is the worst song you've ever heard? Alright, I'm a certified Little Dicky hater. I think all of his music is just painfully unfunny and boring. But if I had to choose one song that was the epitome of all that crap, it's gotta be Earth. That song is just god-awful. Do you think the next Weezer album, which is currently in pre-production or something, is gonna be good? And have you liked Weezer recently if you've listened to that stuff? As long as the new Weezer album's got their designated 4 good songs, that's really all you can ask for. I listened to their new, like, well, not really new anymore, but like those Seasons EPs from a couple years ago. Those were pretty good, but I feel even those could have been like, those had like each 2 or 3 good songs individually, and I feel you could have chopped those up and made like one really good album or one really solid EP or something like that. Alright, one more Weezer question to finish this off. Thoughts on Pinkerton? It's a great album. It's probably like one of my top 3, but it's definitely a red flag album too. Like, if you meet someone and one of the first things they say or like one of the first albums they talk about is Pinkerton, run for the goddamn hills.